Cyberpunk. Total War Introduction. www.zhaozuiyuan.com. The story. After the Sun plus Star ending, rising in just a few months, he single-handedly overturned the Arasaka Tower, killed the legendary Maker Adam Hammer, and stirred up the entire Night City. The legendary Lone Wolf V disappeared like a shooting star in an instant. Not long after, the towering Crystal Palace fell from the sky and crashed into the night. https://www.zhaozuiyuan.com. Chapter 1. Yesterday's Resurrection. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, invading in the darkness before Wei Feng's eyes. These 4 words flashed through his mind, and he felt someone gently tapping his face. Hey! Wei! Wake up quickly. Cough. Wei Feng struggled to open his eyelids and felt a sharp pain and soreness all over his body. He looked vaguely at the large figure in front of him and instinctively said, Jack. Memories slowly awakened, and as a social animal, I worked for the company 007 every day, but ended up with the bad news of being laid off. After being laid off, Wei Feng gritted his teeth and bought the VR version of Cyberpunk 2077 that he had always wanted, with a mentality of being torn apart. He went home to blow up the Arasaka Tower 10 or 8 times first. Damn it, the immersive feeling of this device is also too good. It hurts all over as if it's real. Wei Feng struggled to get up and looked around at the surroundings. The magnificent and understated scenery coexisted, and he knew where it was. Gambi Building. I didn't guess wrong, so now it should be stealing goods in the preface. Hey! Wei, your brain was blown out by a grenade. What nonsense are you talking about? At this moment, the weak voice of the big guy interrupted Wei Feng's thinking. Wei Feng turned his head to look at the person sitting on the ground leaning against the cover, whose abdomen had been shot and blood flowed down the stained red lining of his suit onto the ground. He picked up a pneumatic syringe from the ground and hit Jack in the chest, comforting him, It's okay brother, we can escape. With a ding sound, the elevators in front of them opened and a 6-person security team emerged from inside, searching for the intruder's trail. Looking at the team in front of him, Wei Feng suddenly caught fire and picked up a handful of Ajax and 2 electromagnetic pulse grenades next to the previous team's corpse from the ground, launching the first attack. First, 2 electromagnetic pulse grenades signaled to the security team, interfering with their electronic signals. Then, they picked up their guns and fired while charging. The tongue of fire sprayed from the muzzle of traditional kinetic energy weapons seems to vent Wei Feng's anger. Fuck your company dog, he roared, you can still bully me and his mother my game. Looking at the back of Wei Feng's charge, Jack widened his eyes and said, You were really dumbfounded by the grenade. The pneumatic injection device inside his body began to work, and he struggled to get up and picked up a pistol. Well, not bad, it's a Lexington, self-defense is an inalienable right bestowed by the Creator, Jack thought to himself and picked up his gun to follow Wei Feng. Brother, if we can get out alive this time, we'll be famous. His voice was no longer so weak. If we go out, we'll probably be considered half a legend. Facing the 6 corpses added to the ground, Wei Feng released the last bullet from his magazine. Upon hearing what Jack said, he turned his head and said with a smile, Yeah, we're going out this time and we'll be a big shot. When we receive the commission, we may still be able to leave a name in the next life. However, Wei Feng saw Jack raise his gun and aim at himself. With a loud bang, it hit behind me, and a body struggling to raise a gun on the ground eventually fell silent. It turned out that I didn't fix my own knife properly and almost fell. Thank you, brother. It's okay, let's go quickly. Your knife repair is still as useless as usual. The 2 of them walked into the elevator and breathed a sigh of relief as they watched the slowly descending floor. Wei Feng dialed Delaman's phone and asked him to wait in the garage. This is the last fierce battle, brother, we can succeed, I swear. Watching the adrenaline recede and a tired expression on Jack's face, Wei Feng breathed a sigh of relief to him. Jack nodded and replied, "The famous V started to prosper from here, when the local Emperor Arazaka Mitsuro slaughtered Arazaka. Although we only stole something from the Blue Mansion this time, we were able to get involved with him to some extent." "What famous V? Isn't that me?" The plot of the process made him feel a bit wrong, and upon closer inspection, that Jack in front of him was only similar in size and attire. Before Wei Feng could think it over, the elevator arrived at the underground garage. He had no choice but to put aside his doubts and leave Gambi first. The elevator door opened, and he threw 2 shock bombs first, rushing out in time. But the underground garage did not have the layers of security forces he had anticipated, only Delamon was waiting for them. "Something's wrong, there's no defense at all." The plot is getting more and more disconnected from his memory, and his heart is starting to feel uneasy. Combined with what Jack said, he has a bad guess in his mind. But at this point, we can only grit our heads and take action. Jack also reached out at this moment and didn't care about thinking too much when he saw no one. He signaled Wei Feng to get in the car quickly and said, "Let's go, Wei. Before those company dogs come over, if possible, I don't want to get into tomorrow's dead man lottery." Upon hearing this, Wei Feng was about to reconcile when his pupils contracted and he saw a person walking out of the darkness. The metal prostheses of the newcomer collided and tinkled with each other, even the skull shining with metallic luster. Only the eyes emitting red light silently bit Wei Feng, walking step by step. The footsteps were silent, but there were some cracks on the ground where they passed. Damn Atom Hammer! Of course Wei Feng knew who the newcomer was. But what he couldn't figure out was that if his guess came true, the hammer could not reappear and could only lie in the grave. "Get in the car. Hurry up!" Wei Feng roared, turning around like a car rushing towards him. "It's Atom Hammer, son of a bitch." Delamon also opened the car door. He took a step out and felt a sudden delay in time. His eyes blinked and closed, and he collapsed into the car seat. Then, the pain in his body came slowly, and Wei Feng could no longer feel the presence of his left shoulder. He certainly knows what this is, only Swanstein can do such a terrifying thing. Damn it, my shoulder must be broken. Jack also took the opportunity to get in the car and shouted urgently, "Drive. Delamon. Drive. Welcome back, choose Delamon, troubles are right outside the door, if you don't drive anymore, you'll just wait to go to the grave." The car started and ran away at lightning speed, but Atom Hammer behind him did not catch up. His red eyes flickered, and he didn't know who he was talking to. "Heavy Hammer, not enough pressure, catch up and force them, and then send a few octopuses to pursue." "Yes," the Heavy Hammer replied coldly with only an electronic sound, and then hung up the communication. The person on the other end of the phone looked up at the ceiling and murmured, "I missed V in the beginning," which led to taking many detours. "This time, I will see if there is a chance to create another V, which is crucial for my next plan." Atom Hammer looked at the car that had not yet gone far and started Swanstein again. In the blink of an eye, he appeared on the side of the car and kicked it, almost causing the vehicle to roll over with a huge impact. The two people in the car felt like they were flipping the river and the sea, and the huge shock tore the wound, causing Jack to spit out a mouthful of blood. Wei Feng didn't feel well either. The stubble on his shoulder seemed to be breaking free from the shackles of flesh and blood. He had never felt such pain before and was almost on the verge of shock. "Delamon," Wei Feng said ferociously. "Battle mode has been activated. Please remain calm. Keep your mother." Jack spat out another mouthful of blood. "Brother, I might be going to die soon. Don't say anything discouraging, it seems like the Heavy Hammer hasn't caught up." At this moment, as the vehicle drove away, Wei Feng temporarily took a breath and began to experiment with his thoughts. Exit. Exit the game. His mother, get out of here. Despite how he roared in his heart, everything in front of him remained unchanged. Time travel. Or have you traveled through this damn world? This damn night city. There's no system yet. Wei Feng's face turned pale, confirming his thoughts. He had no despair, only boundless anger. He had been exploited by unscrupulous bosses in his past life, and even after crossing over, he came to the cyberpunk world controlled by capital. 3 enemy drones have locked onto us. Misfortune never comes alone, reminded by Delaman's cold voice. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. This damn life. In this terrible world, Wei Feng was burning with anger. He picked up his gun with one hand and vented it on the drone behind him. Delamon also deftly dodged bullets. The drone saw that the bullet had no effect and fired a grenade. Unable to avoid, please prepare for the impact. Boom. The vehicle was blown up and flipped over for a week. The sharp pain that came again finally reminded Wei Feng of more things. My former parents were forced to death by the company, and I grew up on the streets. I became a street boy, met my good brother Jimmy, and joined the Valentino gang together. After hearing about V's story, my mind became hot. I would rather die in my 20s and become famous than lie in a hospital bed in my 70s and 80s, covered in a urinary catheter and waiting to die. Finally, I received the order to steal goods from the Ganby building. V made his fortune from here. And my own body was even more unlucky. When I was ready to vent at home with my equipment on, a thunderbolt twisted and twisted from the window towards me. The last memory was only the blue and white thunder that filled my vision. The drones behind closely followed, with onboard machine guns strafing through the rear window with a loud bang. Looking for Shuyuan. www.zhaoshuyuan.com. No matter how agile Delamon is, he cannot shake off the distance. The gun in Wei Feng's hand also turned off, and he fell into a situation of running out of ammunition and food. Bang! A bullet pierced through the car window and hit Jimmy's right chest. Ah! Damn it, you son of a bitch! Jimmy wailed. Hold on, Jimmy, damn it. Wei Feng searched his whole body but couldn't find any healing agent. Hold on, Jimmy. We're about to succeed, we'll only be doing big business in the future. Yeah. You're going to get rich. I have a premonition, brother. Jimmy lightly placed his hand on his shoulder. You can do it. This chip is ready, even if it's for me. Cough cough. After speaking, Jimmy took out a chip from the side neck and inserted it into the Wei Feng side neck. Then he became powerless and collapsed, unaware of life or death. It's relic. Wei Feng doesn't understand, how could there still be such a thing according to the timeline he crossed. However, at this moment, just like at that moment, it was like Jack entrusting a chip to V. The only difference is that as the chip reads, a line of text appears in front of Wei Feng. Detected obtaining legendary items, converted to legendary points. Current legendary point. 1. Can permanently break through the limit once, or convert to a burst, warning. The host's current physical condition is poor, and the forced outbreak mortality rate is 86.9%. The damn system is only here now. The drone behind is still closely following and reluctant to part ways. Fight it. I have a rotten life, but it was just picked up. No big deal, just die like this. If I survive, Arazaka, wait. System, converted into an explosion for me. Thank you. Chapter 2. The Fall of the Crystal Palace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. With Wei Feng's silent recitation, the legendary point became 0, and he felt the world slow down. In his eyes, all electronic devices have traces to follow, with black and red electromagnetic waves covering both the surface and interior. This iconic black and red, in this world, it represents only one power, black wall. Wei Feng slowly extended his right hand. his hand also flickering with black and red light. And gently gripped the 3 drones behind him. Bang! 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 A few explosions came, and the ground also shook. He knew he had escaped into the sky. With the release of the explosive state, Wei Feng suddenly became weak, his head was groggy, and he could vaguely hear noisy voices roaring and cursing. Many of his righteous bodies had burnt marks, which was the price of connecting to the black wall. Delamon. Go find Lao Wei. Wei Feng said weakly, Victor. A prosthetic doctor in Little Chinatown, Watson, he added, unsure if Derman, who had crossed the timeline, knew old Wei. Received. The destination has been modified. He didn't know if Lao Wei would help, after all, he wasn't AV, but he had to take a gamble. Not far from the route of the vehicle, on a tall building, a man in a suit and leather shoes watched them leave. It seemed no surprise that Wei Feng could use the power of the black wall. His pupils flickered with blue light and he muttered to himself, Arazaka Raishian, compared to your father, you are still a little younger. The praying mantis catching cicadas and yellow sparrows have been replaced by the AI behind the black wall in Relic. Your plan is ultimately to make wedding clothes for us. See if this V can stand up. Then he turned around and left, his cold face carrying a faint smile. Wei Feng in the car felt his eyelids getting heavier and his vision becoming increasingly blurred. At this moment, a burst of flames illuminated the cold and neon-filled night city, also shining on his face. Haoyang, am I in heaven now? After all, have I not withstood it? Wei Feng thought to himself. Sleeping trough, look at what's in the sky. The meteorite is about to hit the Earth. You idiot, that's clearly the space station of the European Space Agency. Sleeping slot, space station. Who's going to blow up the space station? Can it be V? I can't say for sure, how can we guess what big shots are doing? Yeah, run quickly. This head image is coming towards the city of night. The night city is going to change, this damn place is really not safe for a whole day. The noisy voices outside the car pulled Wei Feng's divergent thinking back to reality. He mustered up his spirit and looked towards the source of light. He saw scenes that he would never forget in his lifetime. Crystal Palace. This once brilliant and dazzling building seems to come from the future, but now it has fallen from a wonderful paradise to a dark reality. In the darkness, it looks like a huge crystal fortress, emitting a deep blue light, in sharp contrast to the architecture of the night city. With a loud bang, the crystal palace began to tremble and slowly disintegrate in the air, like a postmodern sculpture being smashed to pieces with a hammer. Its exterior walls peeled off one after another, revealing the complex mechanical structure inside. When it fell, the entire city was illuminated, like a splendid fireworks display. It fell from the top of the towering building, like a falling star, rapidly diving towards the earth with destructive power. As it fell, a strong electronic pulse filled the air, as if the entire city was trembling. The fragments of the crystal palace streaked magnificent curves in the night sky, like brilliant stars crossing the dark sky, destined to leave an eternal mark. At the moment of falling into the western waters of the night city, the crystal palace transformed into countless crystal-clear fragments, scattered in every corner of the sea, as if it were a brilliant and tragic ending, or a prelude to a wildfire. How beautiful! It's worth dying to see this kind of scenery. Wei Feng still fainted. Customer wakes up. We have arrived at the destination. Do you need help? Your package does not include assistance function. If you need assistance, please upgrade the package. Not long after, the voice of Doraemon woke up Wei Feng. He ignored it and dragged Jimmy down on his own, dragging him into Misty's divination room. As soon as he entered, he collapsed on the counter. Misty saw two bloody people and before she could ask, she heard the smaller one say. Is Lao Wei here? Help us. Misty finally saw through the dim light that the person was speaking with an Eastern face, but her whole body was covered in burnt marks, especially around her eyes, which were covered in a circle of burnt black. She didn't know what it was, but she instinctively felt a chill. Another big guy, unconscious, unaware of life or death, only saw a bullet piercing through his abdomen and shoulder. In this era of subcutaneous armor, he could still cause such damage. It goes without saying what kind of person he provoked. Just looking at his attire, she suddenly remembered that day. That same night, V walked in with a sad face and told her that Jack was dead. She knows that in this profession, life and death are in the blink of an eye. She has no sadness or blame, only a faint hatred towards this city. After regaining her senses, Misty replied, "He's here, I'll take you to see him." Just a few hours ago, she had a sudden idea to use tarot cards to divine, and the result was Sun, Judgment, and Star. All in the right position, very good hexagrams. The Sun is a symbol of success, representing freedom, rejuvenation, and a bright future. Judgment is a card of revival, with angels sounding their horns, bringing rebirth and liberation. And the stars represent hope. Where there is despair, there must be hope born. As the best psychic in the Night City, Misty vaguely sensed that the Eastern man in front of her was the beginning of all of this. Combined with the Crystal Palace, which had just fallen from low Earth orbit, she knew that the fragile balance of the city was about to be disrupted. Misty stepped forward and helped the two of them up, walking towards the Lao Wei clinic. Seeing Lao Wei, Wei Feng's tense nerves finally relaxed. Lao Wei. Before he could finish speaking, he collapsed to the ground and fainted again. The aftermath of the forced outbreak was too great. And he knew that as one of the few consciences in the Night City, Lao Wei had forcefully raised the moral standards of the Night City by himself, so this time he fainted completely and felt at ease. "Misty, what's the situation?" Victor shifted his gaze from the news of the Crystal Palace crash. "I don't know who they are, but don't you think this scene is the same as that one?" Misty paused for a moment, but still spoke out the divination results. "The Sun, Judgment, and Stars are all in their correct positions, and the results are very good. It didn't take a few hours to come out. The symbol of success is not so embarrassing." Victor looked at their situation and still moved them to the operating chair. "He reminds me of V, and I hope that kid has nothing to do with this shocking incident. This is Relic. How could it be?" He noticed the chip on Wei Feng's neck and was a bit incredulous. "Misty, come help. His injury is not that serious. You stabilize his condition first, and Relic will help. I'll come and save this big guy first." Victor only felt the difficulty and was once again involved in this chip. He didn't know what kind of trouble it would cause, but he still decided to save the two of them. I don't know how long it has been, but Wei Feng felt like he had a dream, in a void full of crimson. Countless ghosts were tearing at him, and one ghost even wrapped around his neck, trying to penetrate his consciousness and occupy his body. He walked aimlessly towards the boundless void, his legs filled with lead, wanting to rid himself of these ghosts. Just as he felt about to suffocate, a refreshing sensation emanated from his mind, and the ghost came into contact with this coolness. Suddenly, it melted like a cold snow meeting a warm sun, disappearing without a trace. A panel unfolded before his eyes. "The system has been fully activated. You have completed breaking through the blue tower and obtained 3 attribute points, 1 legendary point, and 1000 reputation, your current attribute. Health. 3%, semi-digitized, can still die from fatal injuries, reaction. 3 physical. 3 technical capability. 4 intelligence. 4 calm down. 4 dominiable attributes. 3 legendary point. 1, can permanently break through the limit once, or convert into a burst, reputation. 1000, 5000 can open a reputation store. Looking at the panel in front of him, Wei Feng knew he had come down. With systematic support, Dog Days Wasteland, wait for the hell, I won't blow you from the top of the tower to the foundation, I don't have the surname Wei. At this moment, he felt someone calling him, stepping out and leaving the void. Wei Feng opened his eyes, and the strong light of the surgical lamp made him squint slightly. Victor in front of him spoke up first. "Tell me, kid, how did you get involved with this thing?" Speaking, he pointed to Wei Feng's neck slot. Chapter 3. Situation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Wei Feng first checked his physical condition and found that his burnt body had been treated, and his left arm had also been treated. After careful consideration, he spoke up. "Before taking this order, we didn't know it was Relic, we were just told to steal a copy of Arizaka's information. After all, Arizaka was weak after being attacked by V, and other companies wanted to get a share of the pie." The head still felt a faint pain, and the sequelae of forcibly connecting to the black wall were still too big. Wei Feng rubbed his brain and continued. "At first, this order went smoothly, but until the evacuation, do you know who appeared? Adam Hammer. I feel that this order has a big problem. At first, it may have been a trap. What do you think, old Wei?" After speaking, Wei Feng began to search for his original memories, but couldn't remember the name and appearance of the intermediary. The more he thought about it, the more headache he felt. He had to give up, but it cast a shadow over his heart. "Kid, you make me feel like an acquaintance," only he would call me Lao Wei. Lao Wei looked up and down at Wei Feng. "What's your name? Do you know him?" Of course, Wei Feng knew who he was talking about. He nodded and replied, "My name is Wei Feng, V. No one knows about Night City. He also made his fortune from the Blue Mansion. You can treat me as a performance art enthusiast. The Crystal Palace of European Airlines has fallen, and they will definitely not give up easily. A fifth company war may break out in Night City at any time. Old Wei and V are now missing without a trace. I probably have some idea what he is going to do. We can cooperate and share intelligence first." Wei Feng began his efforts, and if he could connect with Old Wei online, he could at least stand firm in Night City. Under Old Wei's sunglasses, there was a glint of light. The oracle model of the mistress, left to him before V disappeared. Clearly scanning this young man who had scanned countless times during his coma. In the end, except for learning that he was from the Valentino gang, there was no information. Old Wei held his chin and pondered for a moment, saying, "Even so, child, what can you bring me?" If I had known that Old Wei would test him, Wei Feng gently lifted his right hand, which still had the remnants of a black wall on it. He gently grasped it and displayed it, saying, "Believe it or not, I can use this power to a certain extent without being eroded by the flowing AI behind me." Old Wei clearly didn't expect him to have such a skill, and was obviously stunned. He also understood why seeing the burnt marks on his body made him feel uncomfortable. After thinking for a moment, he said, "You should know that the black wall is a taboo. It's not an exaggeration to say that everyone shouts and beats it." After Wei Feng felt that the attempt to win over had failed and exposed his own trump card, Lao Wei continued, "But you're right. Night City is now in a tumultuous season and requires some extraordinary means, so I accept your proposal." He then extended his left hand first. Upon seeing this, Wei Feng also extended his right hand. As he clasped his hands, a slightly sinister smile appeared on his face and he said, "However, Lao Wei, I really don't have much funds on me right now. What kind of righteous body do you have? Let me change it for now." Upon hearing these words, Lao Wei couldn't help but support his forehead. What was the growing sense of suspicion? That stinky kid was also on credit in the beginning. He felt like he had boarded another pirate ship, but he had to grit his teeth and believe some of Misty's prophecies. He said somewhat helplessly, "Due to the crash of the Crystal Palace, the channels for obtaining various company bodies have also been strictly enforced. I can only find a way to get you a more people-oriented version first." "No problem." Wei Feng replied instantly. He had a new idea for the legendary point and needed to try it out. That's it, old Wei. By the way, how's Jimmy? He suddenly asked nervously. It's the big guy with me. He remembered this brother. He was in the Blue Tower before, and Jimmy was injured just to protect himself. As Jimmy said, both Wei Feng's knives were useless. For this brother, he still didn't want to let him leave like this. After all, besides being influenced by his original memory, he himself was not a person willing to owe favors. He's fine, he's out of danger, but he's a bit seriously injured and still unconscious. Let him lie down with me for now. Upon hearing what Lao Wei said, Wei Feng took a deep breath and got off the operating chair. His body had almost recovered, and when he planned to bid farewell to Lao Wei, he asked him the question he had been avoiding. What about that relic on you? Since you know its name, you should also know the consequences it brings. Upon hearing this, Wei Feng's figure froze. Yes, his life with relic inserted had already begun to count down. After a long silence, he suddenly smiled brightly and said, "There are still a few months left for me to do. Don't worry, Lao Wei, I will repay what I owe you." After speaking, he waved goodbye to Lao Wei with his back on his back. Yes, my life was originally picked up. Even if there are only a few months left, as long as my ideas can succeed and I have a systematic self, even if I can only live for 1 month, I can still turn this city and even this world upside down. Lao Wei remained silent as he watched his departing figure. When she went out, Misty looked at him and said, "Thunder will knock down the tower." This made Wei Feng look confused. Is it thunder and lightning? I don't know if he will knock down the tall tower, but he did knock me down anyway. He walked out of the door with self-deprecation in his heart. It was already dawn, and Wei Feng adapted to it for a while, finally seeing the city clearly for the first time. At first glance is the nightclub of the animal gang across from the Misty's shop, where even during the day, the sex dolls outside the shop are dancing sexy dances. The dim and dirty streets extend deep into the shadows, with a series of holographic lanterns flashing above. The streets and alleys are filled with the noise of electronic billboards and the hustle and bustle of crowds, as if the entire city is breathing non-stop. In this future city, the mechanical transformation of cyberspace often mixes with ordinary people, and conflicts and contradictions between them often erupt. In the narrow alleyways, there are various secrets and conspiracies hidden, while the graffiti on the walls witnesses the bottom life and rebellious spirit of the city. Their bodies won't age. But look at their eyes. Cold and lifeless. The company is trying to cover them up. No, it's committing a plethora of crimes to avoid death. At the entrance of the alley came the cry of Prophet Gary, who was still the same as the Alpha Centaur necromancer. Wei Feng looked at his balance and found that there were still a few €100 left. He approached and threw €5 over, saying, "Shut up, old man. If you keep talking nonsense, Necromancer will come to see you tonight." Gary was taken aback, and Wei Feng had already walked away. He only saw bloodstains on the dark brown standing collar jacket, and his not too broad shoulders were tough and straight under the jacket. Zhaozuiyuan.com. Wei Feng passed through the crowd on Little Chinatown and smelled the faint sweet smell emanating from his body. The passers-by were accustomed to him as a fugitive and did not cast too many glances at him. The night city during the day is still busy, with people rushing on their way, shops and markets opening one after another, and street artists and vendors starting to get busy. The exterior walls of high-rise buildings shimmer with metallic luster in the sunlight, and vehicles come and go on the streets, creating a bustling urban scene. What surprised him was that there was no news of the fall of the Crystal Palace on the street, and the scene last night seemed like a dream. Perhaps people will only use this matter as a topic of conversation in the deepest part of the alley. Just as he was planning to go back to the apartment to clean himself up, a stranger called and hesitated for a moment before choosing to connect. "Hello Wei Feng, considering your crazy behavior last night, I have a commission here that may be suitable for you." A gentle and kind female voice came over, and as the holographic phone opened, a kind old lady with gray hair, golden glasses, and a leather jacket caught the eye. It is the intermediary between Guzi and Westbrook, who actually controls the Empress Dowager of the Tiger Claw gang. I don't think there were any witnesses last night, Wei Feng replied coldly. Oh my, young man, you underestimate my intelligence network too much. If you want to take on this order, come and find me at the Bai Qing Gu store on Twisted Street. After finishing speaking, he hung up the phone. Entrusted. It's this kind of secretive riddle person again. If I have enough strength, I must punch these mysterious guys. But Wei Feng is still preparing to take on this order. If I want to be legendary, I definitely cannot do without legendary deeds or items. Let this order become the first step for me to conquer the Night City. Chapter 4. Entrustment with Songzi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Wei Feng stopped the car and headed towards Westbrook. Sitting in the car, he looked at the towering buildings outside the car window, still feeling unreal. He rubbed his face hard, stretched out his right hand to look again and again, and the artificial skin was almost indistinguishable. With a grip, the electronic signals transmitted to his nerves were no different from his physical body. The black and red colors that appeared above just reminded him that everything was true. The vehicle passed another intersection, and from afar came faint gunshots, NCPD sirens, and hysterical shouts. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying and passionate beep sound came from above, and a floating car swept over the head. It's a terrorist mobile team. Oh, cyberpsychiatry. Wei Feng spat out. Such things happen every moment in this city. Not long after, the taxi arrived at Twisted Street, paid the fare, and as soon as it got off the car, the neon atmosphere rushed towards it. The street was filled with sexual symbols that made Wei Feng frown, and inside was an indistinct shadow. Looking up, there was a pink neon light illuminating Jig Street. Based on his memory, he went to find Bai Qing's shop with Gezi. Damn it, it's really difficult to find a place in the Night City without navigation. He instinctively looked at the upper left corner of his line of sight several times, wanting to see the route instructions. It seems that we still need to find Lao Wei to install a head-up display and connect the back door of an NCPD to reduce the crime rate in this city. Upon seeing the familiar holographic projection and the scalp-tingling sentence, I can make you hard for a few hours. Wei Feng knew he had found a place. Before entering, he heard the crackling sound of marbles coming from the store. Upon entering, he saw that many people were already playing with marbles. Although he had seen this scene many times in the game, Wei Feng was still stunned, as if he had returned to the time when arcades were everywhere when he was a child. Further inside, a door curtain blocked the office. In front of the curtain stood a plump and sturdy man. He saw Wei Feng approaching and was about to reach out to stop him, but inside came the sound of singing and singing. Oh my, it's Wei Feng, let him in. The strong man's hand, which he wanted to stop, also turned into an invitation to enter. The interior decoration of the compartment is tranquil and elegant, not moved by the outside world, but there is no bench. Wei Feng just stood there and asked, I'm here. Tell me, what's your job? And how did you know about last night? There should have been something bigger that caught your attention last night. How could you pay attention to me, an unknown person? The job is not small, ordinary mercenaries don't have the courage to take on it. As for where my intelligence came from, I won't bother you, little brother. Guzi was wearing a jacket that stretched from his neck to his belly button, and his voice remained gentle. Let's talk about the compensation first. 70,000 euros, 20,000 euros as advance payment. I won't ask for any income during the task process, it belongs entirely to you. How's it going, isn't it pretty good? Wei Feng's eyelids twitched slightly, as the old woman was still playing tricks. For some reason, there was a constant fire burning in her heart. She calmed down for a moment and said, "Tell me about the details of the commission. Judging from my appearance, you should know that I come from the East. There is an old saying that goes well. Free pies will not fall from the sky. Now it's not related to the song anymore." He said in detail, "Recently, the Whirlpool gang in the Watson area of the north of the city hasn't been very honest. They have reached out a dog's paw to Westbrook. However, you know, last night that thing fell from the sky, and everyone wants a share of the pie. If we can find new technology from the European Space Agency, it will be developed. So, I don't have enough elite personnel here." She paused, as if watching Wei Feng's reaction. Frowning tightly, she continued, "So, this is my personal commission to help me clear the Whirlpool stronghold in Westbrook North." After speaking, she quietly waited for Wei Feng's reply. And on this side, Wei Feng has become entangled. As for the Whirlpool gang, everyone in the Night City only dares to shout and fight crazy dogs in their hearts. They must want to slaughter them themselves, and they do things recklessly, hoping to replace all their nerves with righteous bodies. Among cyber-psychiatry, except for veterans who are covered in righteous bodies, this group of crazy dogs has the most people. But the famous Night City did not die like this from the beginning. Not to mention whether a crazy dog from a stronghold could have fought it himself, just the revenge from the Vortex gang behind was enough to give him a headache. Boiling blood, rising adrenaline, and the anger in his heart were tempting him to accept this commission, but his rationality was roaring, wanting him to refuse. He had intended to refuse, but his words turned into, "Okay, I have taken on this order, but I have an additional condition. If I still want to explore the Crystal Palace in the future, I need a spot." He was taken aback by Guzi, but eventually nodded and accepted Wei Feng's bargaining. Returning to the apartment, Wei Feng took a shower and lay on the bed, looking at the task details in his sight and sent by Songzi, and smiled. Since he had already taken it, there was nothing to regret. Apart from relief, his eyes were also filled with extreme excitement hidden deep inside. Perhaps the deepest part of one's genes is a terrorist, but this city has awakened the DNA at the bottom. With this thought in mind, Wei Feng listened to the curses, moans, and gunshots outside and fell asleep. In his dream, he dreamt of another void, with only one ghost entwined around his neck, only weak enough to be pulled down and played with in his hand. Wei Feng still doesn't know what these represent. In the distance, he could vaguely see a few figures, a tall figure similar to Jimmy's, with a samurai bun tied on his head, a small figure with a punk head and a yellow coat, and another figure with the iconic silver arm prosthetic, just as he wanted to get closer and take a closer look. "Good morning, Night City." Yesterday's Dead Man Lotto. Stanley's opening line to the morning news woke Wei Feng up. He stretched lazily and didn't expect to sleep so well. The late-night gang fire was like a lullaby. Zhaozuiyuan.com, the Crystal Palace of the European Space Agency was taken down, but they were furious and unanimously believed that the forces of Night City had planned this attack. Military technology is planning to launch a unification war again, citing the attack and crash of the Sky.1 spacecraft carrying the President of the United States in Dogtown. Listening to the scattered news on the radio, Wei Feng began to listen carefully and found that it was all empty and out of context. He decided to turn off the radio. Oh, the charm of journalism moment. At that moment, Lao Wei sent a message, and he instantly became energized. "Hey Wei Feng, the things are ready. Fortunately, my old bone is still a bit thin in the Night City. When will you come over?" "Come over immediately," he replied. "Old Wei, my adoptive father. I'm here." In no time, Wei Feng rushed into Victor's shop with a fierce roar, without even having a chance to shout and fight with Misty. Looking at the dazzling array of equipment, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Suddenly, he understood why V had to cling to Lao Wei's line and feel fortunate for himself. Military technology, Zeta technology, Arizaka products from various companies are available. Wei Feng, who had regained his senses, looked at Lao Wei with a hint of admiration in his eyes. He remembered Victor's character profile. Victor is actually one of the living legends of Night City, but for many years he has hoped that others can forget this. Old Wei's gentle approach has almost succeeded. I just don't know what magnificent stories he had in the first half of his life. Wei Feng became curious about the ED doctor who silently supported V behind his back. Chapter 5. Vortex Gang, I'm here. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, hey Wei Feng, don't stare at the old man anymore. I'm already quite old. Even Lao Wei was blinded by Wei Feng's scorching gaze, so he quickly turned the other way and said, look where you want to go. Wei Feng thought about it and realized that in his previous game, he used the Sword Saint genre of Swanstein, but he was a bit unsure about how to navigate through it. So he informed Lao Wei of his commission with Gezi and wanted him to keep the door open. Upon hearing this, Lao Wei's forehead was almost twisted into the character, Chuan, and he was also a newborn calf who was not afraid of tigers. With his big steps, he was not afraid to click on his egg. But he carefully thought for Wei Feng and slowly spoke up, the miscellaneous members of the Vortex Gang advocate for the transformation of righteous bodies, and are all covered in righteous bodies. They claim that this is the next stage of human evolution. If they can control their righteous bodies, their combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. You can connect to the black wall. You can first try to see if you have the talent to become a network hacker. Coincidentally, I have a testing chip here. After speaking, he found a chip and handed it to Wei Feng. Wei Feng was not hesitant, just inserted it and started testing. Watching him immerse himself, Lao Wei silently counted in his heart. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. I don't know how talented this kid is in hacking. But within 10 seconds, Wei Feng reopened his eyes and looked at Lao Wei with a bewildered expression. Is this thing broken? There are only some crooked number mazes inside, crispy like paper. When I touch them, they all shatter. Sleeping trough. Upon hearing his description, even the psychologically strong old Wei cursed a foul word. 10 seconds. Did you break the test chip? Although he had constantly raised his psychological expectations before, this speed really shocked him. In his legendary career, the strongest hacker he had ever seen. Spider Murphy also spent a whole minute. As for Batmos, old Wei couldn't help but compare Wei Feng with him. Batmos may be able to crack it in 10 seconds, or maybe 5 seconds, but this is meaningless because this set of tests was written by Batmos. Cowardly, Wei Feng. He couldn't help but feel his love for talent. I've only seen your hacking talent in my life. These useless righteous bodies don't really deserve you. You just have to make do with them first. When the trend wears off, I'll bring you a batch of top-notch ones. Upon hearing this, Wei Feng did not expect his talent to be so good. However, upon looking at the system panel, he was not particularly excited. If he had devoted himself wholeheartedly to the path of hacking, he had the confidence to rival or even surpass Batmos. He spoke up and said, Old Wei, can you match me with a set of righteous bodies? I'll give it a try. Although he prefers close combat with deadly swords, he still decided to follow Old Wei's advice. Lao Wei looked for ET and said to Wei Feng, then lie down on the surgical chair. After finding all the righteous bodies, he sat next to Wei Feng and said, time is running out. You won't have time to recover from the full body replacement. I can only equip you with the necessary righteous bodies. Come on, Lao Wei. By the way, remember to install a navigation and NCPD reward backdoor for me. A dose of anesthesia needle pierced, and before losing consciousness, Wei Feng focused all his attribute points on intelligence. At this point, his intelligence reached 7, and he could be considered a good player in the Night City where mercenaries were everywhere. ET has been uploaded. Operating System. 4-phase power transmission ripple type 2, 3rd order, licensed. Equipped with plugins. Synaptic fusion, 3rd level, restarting the prosthetic eye, 3rd level, quick cracking, 3rd level. Facial. Ambitious eye alert, 3rd level, authorized. Palm. Ballistic coprocessor, 3rd level, licensed. Legs. Ankle reinforcement, 3rd level, authorized. Epidermal system. Subcutaneous armor, upgraded to level 2. Arm thermal projectile launch system, 1/2, 3rd order, authorized. A sound of prompts sounded in Wei Feng's head, and he shook his drowsy head to stand up. With a movement of his mind, he saw the loading of his own righteous body. The newly installed ED are all level 3, even upgrading their original subcutaneous armor to level 2. It's really a big move, truly worthy of being an adoptive father. But what's going on with this half-firing system? Seeing Wei Feng's confusion, Lao Wei took the initiative to explain one by one, what I have installed for you now is something that can be used immediately, excluding anomalies and small ones. The circulatory system and nervous system have not moved anything that requires a big knife. Come back and upgrade after you complete the task. Then he looked up and down, as if looking at an artwork, and continued, you already have the epidermal system. I upgraded it for you, but it didn't have a big impact. As for why only one arm was installed, it was just to replace the broken left shoulder without affecting your movement, otherwise I don't want to put more pressure on your nerves. After speaking, he pushed several bottles of medicine towards Wei Feng. This is an inhibitor. You have changed so many synonyms at once, please pay more attention to your physical condition. I don't want you to become a cyber-psychiatrist, Lao Wei added. I have also installed the navigation and back door you need. Wei Feng moved his body and bones for a while without any adverse reactions, which was even more convenient than his physical condition. However, he still took the medicine and said, thank you, old Wei. I owe you a big favor. How much does this cost? Give me an accurate amount and entrust me to get a prepayment of 20,000 euros. Can you pay a little first? Hee, it's not worth much money. You can come back first before we talk, old Wei chuckled. This allowed the previous life to experience the warmth and coldness of human relationships, and for the first time felt the warmth from others. Adhering to the concept of seeking revenge from peach blossoms. He took the initiative to reveal his intelligence about V, saying, I have 99% certainty that the Crystal Palace incident was done by V, and it even involved the Night Company. It should be related to V's resolution of relic sequelae, and life and death are unknown now. Victor pondered for a long time and let out a long sigh. Instead of delving deeper into the vast amount of information behind it, he turned the conversation aside and asked, your relic, which old man jumped out of it? Another Johnny Silverhand. It's impossible it could be Arizaka Mitsuro, right? No, no one. Looking for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, Wei Feng also felt strange. There's not even a trace of discomfort. This strange thing happened one after another, and before the matter with Gone Bike could be sorted out, new problems arose. Forget it, you should pay attention to it yourself. If you have any questions, just come to the old man and I will do it. I still have some weapons here, you can choose 2 that are convenient to use. Old Wei is quite open-minded, so he decided to put aside things he couldn't think of. Following Lao Wei to the arsenal, among a pile of weapons, Wei Feng saw the silencing pistol at a glance, Your Majesty the Queen. Without any hesitation, he picked it up and played with it. The sound-absorbing pistol had a dark appearance, shimmering with a faint metallic luster. The grip design was very ergonomic, and it seemed to fit perfectly with the palm, giving people a comfortable feeling. The trigger is lightweight and sensitive, emitting only a faint whoosh sound when pulled, and firing bullets silently. Its concealment is unparalleled, making it difficult to detect its existence. This silencing pistol is a weapon in the dark, the queen of covert operations, and a symbol of the perfect combination of lethality and concealment. The delicate touch and faint smell of gun oil made him very intoxicated. Good taste. This is also the little thing V left for me, commented Lao Wei. Do you want to have a fully automatic one? No, it's it. Wei Feng replied firmly. We talked about some things we didn't have and said goodbye to Lao Wei. He sent a message to Gezi, remember, Mr. Wei, procrastinating is not a good idea. I can be notoriously impatient at times. Smiling and shaking his head, Wei Feng ignored her and headed towards the mission location. Vortex gang, V Zhentian has disappeared, but I, Wei Zhentian, have arrived. Chapter 6. Vortex gang, I'm here. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, we arrived by car at the intersection of North Ward in Watson and Westbrook, where the Whirlpool gang was based in an abandoned warehouse on Capadora Street. It was still early, so Wei Feng found a fast food restaurant and waited for the dark operation to fill his stomach. As expected, 20 euros of rice are all synthetic foods. To be honest, the taste of synthetic foods are not bad, but the technology and ruthlessness of each bite really make people lose their appetite. Eating and drinking enough, Wei Feng pondered how to use this legendary point to maximize profits. Without any surprise, this permanent breakthrough limit should be effective for everything he could touch. As for the explosion of attachment and black walls, he temporarily did not want to use it. The feeling of each neuron being eroded by electronic signals and a series of codes was really more than life. And he felt that this outbreak shouldn't be so simple. If it's just relying on the black wall, then the system's power is also too low. After much thought, he decided to elevate His Majesty the Queen. After all, this was the highest level weapon on his body and also the top batch in the game. He wanted to try what surprises His Majesty the Queen, who broke through the limit, could bring him. Gently caress the gun with your hand, silently reciting, breaking through the upper limit. There is no change, but the darkness of the gun body is even deeper, and the muzzle seems to have turned into a black hole, trying to suck everything in, shatter, and crush it. Wei Feng felt that this weapon was more convenient, and he seemed to have a slight connection with it. He had a feeling that if someone dared to shoot him with this gun, the only result would be the gun getting stuck. The prosthetic eye opened the scan, and the data panel popped up. This exaggerated attribute made Wei Feng couldn't help but shudder. Her Majesty the Queen level 6/Immortal plus, attack speed. 4, damage. 150, effective range. 100, weapon control. Plus 200% headshot damage multiplier. When not detected by the enemy, the shooting accuracy of this weapon reaches perfection, the damage increases, and the head burst will inevitably cause a critical blow. When detected by the enemy, each bullet fired into the enemy's body will undergo a micro-explosion. Even the product level has forcefully broken through the upper limit. Compared to the original data, this can no longer be exaggerated to describe, it is simply a matter of clouds and mud. Is weapon control even more advanced? It is not an exaggeration to say that it is an extension of Wei Feng's limbs. This is a ferocious beast hidden in the darkness, picking people and devouring them. Feeling a slight tremor in his hand, Wei Feng couldn't put it down and played with it, muttering to himself, this can no longer be described by Her Majesty the Queen. You are simply the Killer Queen. After saying these words, he felt a sense of excitement coming from the gun barrel. The panel has been automatically changed, Killer Queen level 6/Immortal plus. He was taken aback for a moment. It seemed like breaking through the upper limit was not easy. With such a divine tool, Wei Feng gained another confidence in his evening mission. At this moment, he realized that there were no entries in other semantic forms, and the Queen, who had not broken through before, also had no entries. Can it be said that various entry buffs can only be obtained through systematic evolution? Wei Feng groped his chin and pondered, saying that legendary points are not enough. This is forcing me to do big things. As night fell and the lanterns lit up, it was the first time Wei Feng had carefully observed the city of night. At night, it seemed as if it had truly come to life. The whole city is like a shining pearl, shining brightly. Tall buildings stand tall in the clouds, and various floating cars shuttle in the air like shooting stars. The neon lights flicker incessantly, illuminating the entire city with a dazzling array of colors, giving people a sense of illusion. The night in the city of night is full of temptation and danger. The bustling bars and nightclubs were bustling with lights and wine. Various criminals and gang forces lurk in the darkness, waiting for an opportunity to move, and gunshots are frequently heard on the streets and alleys. The stark contrast between slums and luxurious affluent areas highlights the class gap in this city. In this city, people pursue money and power. Love, friendship, and family seem insignificant in the face of these desires. It is precisely with contrast that the remaining glow of humanity shines particularly brightly in the night of the night city, swaying to extinguish but enduring for a long time. Respecting the city of the night. Wei Feng dried his vodka in one gulp, put down his glass, and the mission began. Stepping on the high ground, Wei Feng observed the movement of the Vortex gang under his feet. The warehouse was divided into 3 levels, with 2 on the ground. The second level was much smaller than the first level, forming a pyramid shape, and there was also a basement. There are only 2 cameras on the front and rear doors, and currently only 12 people are observed. The situation in the basement is unclear. The opportunity came, and through the window, 4 people on the second floor began to inhale unknown preparations. In no time, those 4 people danced and walked unsteadily. He flexibly jumped to the ground, and the cat slowly touched it, highlighting the camera and the enemy's field of view. The ankle reinforcement was activated, and with a gentle leap, he jumped up to the second floor. I flipped through an open window, and the 4 people with their backs facing Wei Feng were unaware. On their spider-like prosthetic eyes, the red light was bright and dark, squeezing together, not knowing what they were saying. Thank you to the system. The enemy's health has also been semi-digitized. Wei Feng adjusted the angle, raised his gun, and aimed to see if there could be a crossfire. At this moment, the synthesized electronic sounds of those people were transmitted to his ear. Dum Dum Boss intercepted a shipment from Junkie yesterday with someone, it seems to be worth a lot of money. Yes, it's said to be a prototype of Junkie. I don't know if they will retaliate. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, what are you afraid of? There is a wealthy man in the North Oak area who plans to buy it. If there is any pot to throw at him then, it's okay, but that fool insists on trading on his own territory. That's right, otherwise who would be willing to come to this place where birds don't poop? Hurry up and settle this order before that old mother tiger reacts. Hey, but Westbrook's people are also stupid. A little kid dares to walk alone at night. The boss scanned and found that the kid's kidneys and liver can match the bounty on the black market successfully. Go ahead, if you ask me, then don't worry about the reward for pouring nonsense into the stove. I've always had an idea. What would it feel like to fill a little ghost with righteousness? Will you just turn off the engine or become a cybermaniac? You should bring this little ghost to me for experimentation. Wei Feng, who secretly eavesdropped, couldn't bear it anymore. These scumbags don't even let children go. With the help of the prosthetic body, he planned the shooting route after scanning the prosthetic eye and activating the ballistic coprocessor. Whoosh, whoosh, 2 gunshots were fired, the sound was smaller than expected, like arrows. Bullets shot out, one in a series of 3, with 3 heads popping. Before the last person could react, they felt a pain in the back of their head when a jump bullet hit the back of their head. Watching the 4 people in front of him clear their blood bars without disturbing the first layer of guards, Wei Feng nodded in satisfaction, allowing these scumbags to live an extra second, which was a humiliation to the assassin queen. He touched it and began searching for the body. The old habit of frugality and household management cannot be abandoned. Pooh, is that all for the Whirlpool gang? How about mixing with the gang if the 4 people add up to less than 4,000 euros? Wei Feng cursed in his heart. He didn't feel any discomfort after killing 4 people with 2 shots, as if he was born for it. Then he turned his gaze to the 8 miscellaneous pieces on the first floor. Chapter 7. Vortex Gang, I'm here. 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the 8 Whirlpool gang members on the first floor, unaware of the impending slaughter, were still chatting in small groups. Slowly touching the next layer of Wei Feng, he scanned and saw a lonely person. Under the highlight of the artificial eye, there was no line of sight left on this person at this moment. He crouched down and ran over. The lonely little brother felt a gust of wind coming from behind, and before he could turn his head, he grabbed his chin and head with both hands. With a click, Wei Feng dragged the limp body in his hand and threw it into an empty box. At this moment, he heard someone shouting loudly, "Enemy attack! Keep up your spirits. There is news that the old lady from Wacko has hired a mercenary. 5 people can no longer be contacted. The mercenary has sneaked in. Let's move together. Damn it. Damn it, this old thing leaks information faster than her white tiger. Wei Feng cursed inwardly. I was originally planning to sneak around and complete the task, but now I am on the alert. So the question is, if stealth has already been detected by the enemy, how can we achieve perfect stealth? The answer is, of course, it's all slaughtered. If it's all slaughtered, no one will notice. Wei Feng observed for a moment, found a blind spot in his sight, pulled out his gun, and, whoosh, fired several more shots. Unfortunately, only 2 people fell down, and the others reacted and shouted, "Attention! The enemy is in the 7 o'clock direction." The exposed Wei Feng didn't rush to show his head, but instead started using hacking techniques, and he found that he didn't seem to have any RAM restrictions in the game. I immediately planned to fuse each person's synapses, but a tin block the size of a can fell first into his hiding place, making a dull sound. What the hell? He fixed his eyes on it. Shit. Fragmented grenade. Are these scumbags really special? They don't talk about martial arts and don't even shout when throwing grenades. What? I don't talk about martial arts either. It's okay then. The people who teach martial arts in the Night City only gather in one place, in a cemetery. A huge boom spread around the center of the grenade, then came a huge impact force. Wei Feng quickly changed cover and managed to dodge, but there were still a few fragments hitting him. He instinctively used his left arm to block the artificial skin on the surface and flew it away, revealing the precise mechanical structure of the projectile system inside. Thank you again, Lao Wei. Taking advantage of the attacking neutral, synaptic melting, reboot artificial eye, quick cracking, he set all 3 layers of debuffs for those 7 people. At the moment when the attack took effect, he felt a bit dizzy and his nerves were slightly aching. It seemed that although there was no clear RAM limit, there was still a limit. In the future, he still had to be careful not to harm others and burn his own brain. This way of dying can also be considered a pleasure in the Night City. A few screams came, ah. It's a hacker. There are 2 brushes. All back. Shooting freely. The leader reacted extremely quickly and made the optimal solution in an instant, but it was already too late. Wei Feng silently crouched behind the cover, in the midst of gunfire and bullets, lifting the Killer Queen. This should be considered as being discovered by the enemy. Let's see how powerful this explosive warhead is. Aim, shoot, and do it all at once. I saw the leader of the Vortex gang, his head exploding like a balloon, and red and white objects splashed onto the ground, walls, and his companions even on the ceiling. Seeing this scene, Wei Feng felt a slight discomfort in his heart, but he quickly overcame it. His companion felt the warmth coming from him and fired wildly, but this is just a dying struggle. Bang, bang, bang. Just listening to the sound, it's like a master shooting a balloon with a toy gun at a balloon stall. Just this scene is a bit bloody, eerie, and an indescribable bit of beauty. Wei Feng walked over, and his shoes felt sticky when he stepped on the ground. The sole of the shoes had already been coated with a layer of Vortex upper. The old habit is to leave the skin behind when beasts walk, and to pluck the feathers when geese cross. He picked and chose without any discomfort, and the more than 10,000 euros he received made him even more delighted. He was suddenly taken aback and touched the corner of his open mouth. I used to be quite bad, and I'm not a good person at heart. Shaking his head with a smile, he suddenly cursed, damn it. I forgot to leave a living mouth, where is the special body hidden? I haven't asked yet. His tone was full of regret. Forget it, let's go take a look in the basement first. I hope the child hasn't been dissected yet. I looked around and found the staircase leading to the basement. Just as Wei Feng was about to go down and investigate, a dull sound of footsteps came from the stairs, and he raised his gun to guard. At the moment when the newcomer's head was exposed, he didn't hesitate and fired several shots directly. Just his eyes flickered, and the person who came directly shook out the afterimage and dodged the bullet. It's broken, Krenchkov. Seeing my greatest reliance lose its effectiveness, there is also a hint of anxiety in my heart. The newcomer finally walked up, a big guy with half of his face covered in righteous bodies, flashing red light. There were also some sharp spikes on his bald head that made people shudder at the sight. Wrapped in a black windbreaker, with only a silver throat and a pitch-black metal palm, it showcases a high degree of physical transformation. Are you the mercenary you hired with Gezi? Still in a cold composite voice, where did an unknown person come from? You dare to provoke our Whirlpool gang. Before he could finish speaking, Wei Feng raised his left arm and fired a hot energy projectile towards his feet. If you want to fight, just fight. There's so much talk. Can you dodge bullets or AoE with Krenchkov? In his prosthetic eye display, there was still a white skull hanging from the blood strip. He wiped the sweat off his head and sighed at his wit in taking the initiative. Cough. Miscellaneous, I want to pull out your organs one by one. The person was blasted against the wall and still alive, struggling to get up and cursing. As Wei Feng's pupils contracted, he was truly an elite monster, with rough skin and thick flesh. Seeing that there was still a small half of the health bar, he didn't hesitate and continued to use the third layer of debuff. You're damn. I killed you. Feeling the level of tolerance I could bear, I added 3 layers of debuffs. I'll fuck you. Raise the assassin queen and aim at the joint of the arm, shooting one after another. The dual torment of body and spirit, this little elite monster that appeared quite impressive, finally couldn't help but beg for mercy. Wrong. Big brother. No, Dad. Stop fighting. I surrender. At this moment, Wei Feng also cleared his magazine and knocked down his prosthetic arm. Wei Feng walked over and found Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. He pressed his gun against his head and stepped on his chest, saying, I'll ask, you answer. I said, let me have a way out. Bargaining. A buttstock hit it, and the 4 words remained. I'll ask, you answer. I'll say it. I'll say it, the person murmured in tears, don't hit Dad. Where is the child you caught? Alive or dead? Still alive. Still alive. He nodded repeatedly, it's on the operating chair in the basement, you can see it when you go down. Before you had a chance to take action, Dad, you came. Wei Feng nodded with satisfaction and then asked, so the second question, where is the meaning of military science? This. He hesitated a bit, but when he thought of the hacker's methods in front of him, although the technology was not high, the black and red fluctuations carried by the intrusion made him shiver. He still decided to speak up, hoping to give him some pleasure. That prosthetic body is hidden inside the metal base of the operating chair. Very good, you go away, Wei Feng said with great satisfaction. I don't want to have a grudge against the Whirlpool gang either. Ah. Now it was the person's turn to be taken aback and immediately react. Thank you, Dad, thank you, Dad. I'll get out of here. At this moment, his prosthetic eyes slowly recovered, and he saw Wei Feng's face clearly. He stood up, without the balance of his arms, and ran out unsteadily, afraid that Wei Feng would turn back. While running, he thought, where did you come from? Did you let me go? Damn it, I will kill you when I go back. You can get the things of the Whirlpool sect if you want. Whoosh! A soft voice, like the wind of death waving his sickle, came from behind him. Just before his head exploded, he heard Satan's whispers, "Are you really running?" Chapter 8. Harvest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, is there really someone who has been in the gang for so long and still believes in the grudges of life and death without eradicating them? He's so old and dumbfounded, even if he runs, he still exposes his back. Wei Feng didn't expect this guy to really dare to run away. He was stunned for a moment, then realized and killed him. He remembers that the ED on the body of the Whirlpool gang were all equipped with his own antivirus program, which is actually a super virus. In the black market, it belongs to the group that even dogs despise. Unfortunately, this Krenchkov is missing another sum of money. Even the Whirlpool gang of Dog Day won't explode with gold coins. Intercepted 8,000 euros from the account of this little leader, Wei Feng cursed again. Entering the basement, as expected, I saw the unconscious child lying on the operating chair at a glance. Several corpses have been piled up on the metal table next to the wall, all of which have been opened and hollowed out. The blood has dried up, and dark red lines extend from the corpses to the ground. It seems that this child is not the first victim. I approached and carefully observed the child. His face was burnt yellow and rough, his lips were peeling, his hands and feet had thick calluses, and his exposed abdomen showed a bright white color, not as thin as those poisonous insects in the slums. He was groping his chin. In this situation, could it be said that he was a homeless person? After scanning, it was found that the child had no more prosthetic bodies except for the most basic brain-computer interfaces and slots throughout his body, and he became increasingly certain of his speculation. Leaving him alone, Wei Feng felt that the military science body hidden under this chair might be the biggest gain of this time. Kicking open the metal base, a pure black box leaked out and was lifted out. The frosted feel and matte treatment make it simple yet atmospheric. In the center of the box is a military technology icon, with AV inside a box and Militech below the icon. Opening the box, a cold gust hit my face, dissipating the cold. Inside was only a prosthetic device, an operating system, mounted on the spine. I am too familiar with it. Wei Feng is so familiar with it that he knows he has won the big prize. This is the biggest gain of this commission, and compared to Songzi's tens of thousands of euros and it is like the mud in the sewer. Inside the box is the military technology apogee of Swanstein, which can super-accelerate one's thinking and actions, slowing down time by 85% from the user's subjective perspective. The people from the Vortex gang said that this is still a prototype, and there seems to be a slight difference compared to the game. The top-level Swanstein here is not as widespread and is still in the experimental stage, unable to be mass-produced. Make a fortune. Taking a long breath, he couldn't conceal his excitement. Hacker stream. Playing Yin tricks. I'm not familiar with you, I want to be the Sword Saint. Carefully buttoning the box and carrying it on his shoulder, he made a mistake. What should this kid do? It's definitely not possible to stay here and survive on your own. Forget it, let's take it with you. When the time comes, inquire about which tribe it belongs to and send it to them. Wei Feng has a good impression of homeless people. I casually pulled a piece of fabric, wrapped the child around it, and carried it on my shoulder. Let's go to the final version. The tens of thousands of euros of garbage are also compared to top tier 80. Ordinary people can still hold tens of thousands of euros for a while, but there may be a chance of taking lifeless flowers. After leaving the warehouse, I took a breath of fresh air to replace the bloody smell in my lungs. At this moment, the roar of a motorcycle came from far to near. Wei Feng squinted his eyes and looked at the oncoming car rushing towards him. A bright red motorcycle, overall streamlined, like a shuttle, is the grass-shaving CT.3X. The roaring engine vented the driver's anger, and the light of the headlights chased the car like a ribbon. 150 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters. The newcomer still has no intention of slowing down. Until it was within reach, the person tightly grasped the handle with both hands and pressed their legs against the ground, making a thrilling lateral brake. The car was almost on the ground, and the wheels were spinning at high speed, as if they were about to roll over at any moment. However, the person who came firmly controlled the situation, raised 3 layers of smoke and dust and stopped steadily in front of Wei Feng. Good driving skills. Wei Feng sighed. She was wearing a motorcycle helmet, tight black leather pants, a slightly oversized matte black jacket that seemed to absorb light, and the heels of her brown boots were deeply stuck in the mud. The slender and symmetrical legs revealed feminine features, letting Wei Feng know that the newcomer was a woman. Put the person down. She took out a pistol from her buttocks pocket and pointed it at Wei Feng, her voice passing through her helmet, dull and hoarse with a hint of fatigue. Don't make me repeat it again. Is that how you treat this kid's life-saving benefactor? Wei Feng's voice was a bit cold, and his righteous eyes locked her tightly. The 4-transmission electric ripple 2 had already been activated, ready to come to the opposite side at any time. She was taken aback and realized that Wei Feng didn't seem to be from the Whirlpool gang. She put away her gun and got out of the car, walked up to him, and said, "How can you prove it?" "Proof? I don't need proof," Wei Feng said, tossing the child onto her shoulder. "This kid is lucky. The members of the Vortex gang haven't had a chance to take action yet." After finishing speaking, he turned around and left, ready to stop a car to go to Lao Wei's place for a rest. She was taken aback for a moment, carrying the child to scan the warehouse, and then hurriedly ran out to find Wei Feng still standing by the roadside. She quickly apologized and said, "I'm sorry, my friend. I offended you. Thank you for saving this kid. Feel free to mention the reward." Wei Feng didn't shake his hand and said, "Forget it, it just went smoothly. Goodbye." He was afraid of getting involved with her. Atkodo people are not people who refuse to repay kindness. It's my bad attitude, please forgive me. Atkodo. Now Wei Feng became interested and asked, "Are you from the Atkodo tribe? Do you know Saul Bright? Do you know my father? I'm Field Bright, the eldest daughter of Zhaoshuyuan.com. Field introduced himself, "This is my brother, Karen Bright." Now it was Wei Feng's turn to be stunned. He really didn't know that Thor had a pair of children, and when he knew they were acquaintances, he said with a slightly gentle tone, "All right, take your brother to see a doctor quickly. Your father is a good person." "Thank you again, sir. Please add your contact information," said Field with a more sincere tone. "Once I have arranged it, I will invite you to our tribal gathering place." As the saying goes, Atkodo is by no means someone who doesn't repay his kindness. Wei Feng thought for a moment, maybe he had to rely on her to inquire about V's news, but this time he didn't refuse, and added her contact information. At this moment, Wei Feng also stopped a car, got on and bid farewell, heading straight to Lao Wei's place. Field couldn't wait to ask any more. She followed her father's footsteps to this city and finally met someone who knew her father's whereabouts. But it left a bad first impression on others. I haven't asked for his name yet. I hope he doesn't mind coming to the tribe as a guest. With this thought in mind, she also picked up her younger brother and left here. Wei Feng once again rushed into Lao Wei's clinic, and this time he had time to say hello to Misty. Lao Wei watched the underground boxing match, but there was still no one at the clinic. I don't know how he manages to maintain his expenses, Wei Feng muttered. Oh, Wei Feng, have you finished the task? What are you carrying? Did you get anything unexpected? Lao Wei asked as he saw the person coming. Wei Feng smiled and pretended to be mysterious, saying, "Good baby. Old Wei, you must have never seen it before. Today, it will broaden your horizons." Chapter 9. Enhancement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Oh, I've never seen anything like this old bone before. Old Wei became interested. Wei Feng stopped playing tricks and opened the box, revealing the meaning inside. Is this Swanstein? Junkies. Which model? Hehe, the prototype of junkie should not be available on the market. Its name is Apogee. Wei Feng, I have seen many of the Swanstein, isn't it just a prototype? Maybe there are still many problems. Wei Feng chuckled again and said, this thing, the leak picked up by the Whirlpool Gang stronghold, can slow down the time to 8.5%. He deliberately dragged the ending. Sleeping trough, I've never seen this thing before. As Wei Feng had hoped, it really shook the old bone. There has been a big breakthrough in military technology in this area. The highest level of deceleration that can be bought on the black market now is only 65%. And it's in a state of being priceless and available in the market. It's basically internal digestion of various forces. Without a gateway, you can't get it. After being shocked, he thought of the information behind it and continued, this level of Swanstein is not something that the Whirlpool Gang can snatch. It is estimated that only the top soldiers in the army are qualified to wear it. There is only one possibility, this thing has a fatal flaw, and the military science intentionally leaked it to collect data. It's the old martial arts world who caught the key point of the problem at once. Wei Feng was stunned, only to be reminded by Lao Wei did he realize something was wrong. He was caught in a dilemma for a moment, and the good thing he had finally snatched back couldn't be used yet. How about taking a gamble? My affinity for the body is quite high, Wei Feng said, feeling that with the system, there should be no problem, but he couldn't tell Lao Wei that he had a golden finger. That old Wei must still treat him as cyber-psychiatry. Then you put this thing here and I'll check it carefully. You can come back tomorrow, old Wei proposed a compromise solution. Wei Feng agreed without hesitation, Cheng. Lao Wei, see you later. After finishing speaking, he left, leaving old Wei alone staring at E.T. with a frown. Wei Feng, who was lying in bed in the apartment, received a phone call from Higezi, which was still so slow and leisurely, like a kind grandmother calling her grandson. The efficiency is good, brother Wei Feng. The task was done beautifully. This order has been settled, and the final payment has been sent to you. Looking at the additional 50,000 euros on the account, combined with the original amount, it has already approached the 100,000 euro mark. It's really fast to earn money as a mercenary. No wonder everyone wants to make a name for themselves. I don't know if the V in this world is worth several 100,000 euros per order. I sighed for a while, checked the system panel, and found that there were only 1,000 additional reputation and 2 attribute points. A small stronghold with these gains is already very good. As a person who knows how to be satisfied, Wei Feng looked at his account balance and fell asleep happily. The person over there hung up with Gezi, and their pupils flickered again, clearly talking to another person. You put in a lot of effort just to send him a righteous body. It's still so top-notch. I don't think Wei Feng is a fool, he probably won't pretend. On the other end of the phone, there was a man's voice saying, "You don't understand. He will definitely pretend. The pace is getting faster, and time is running out. I don't have time to wait for him to grow slowly. I don't know which lunatic blew up the Crystal Palace. The European community has started preparing to transport equipment and troops to the Night City." The man's voice paused before continuing, "Hansen, that fool, has taken down the Sky One, and the military science department will not give up easily. He probably wants to launch a unified war again. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." After listening to the man's words, he snorted coldly to Gezi and said, "My sons have all died in your hands. Why should I believe you?" The male voice only left one sentence, "The Iron Dragon has never been tamed." I hung up the phone. The next day, as noon approached, Wei Feng woke up and once again marveled at the beautiful lullaby of the Night City at night. He went downstairs and casually ate something, then packed 2 portions and went to find Lao Wei. He really wants to be an adoptive father. He was an orphan in his previous life, and Lao Wei was the only person who made him feel cared for by his elders. Upon arriving at the destination, he greeted and handed over the meal, asking, "Old Wei, how are you doing?" Lao Wei's appearance clearly showed that he slept very late, and he replied, "No problem, from my perspective it's fine, but no problem is the biggest problem." "No problem, that's it," Wei Feng said with a big grin. "It's not a big deal. When the water comes and the earth covers up the soldiers, we'll come and block them. Putting this good thing away is a waste. I don't think cyber hackers are suitable for me. I prefer close combat." Upon hearing these words, Lao Wei no longer dissuaded him. He opened his meal and started eating, saying as he ate, "Cheng, you can lie down first. I'll come after I finish my meal, and I'll make up for the missing body." After taking a breath, he continued, "However, changing bones is a big project and can only be done in small parts." Wei Feng obediently leaned onto the operating chair and said, "Okay, you can arrange this." A few hours later. ET has been uploaded. Operating System. Military Technology, Apogee, Swanstein, 5th level +/immortal, replaced. Circulation System. Biological Monitoring, 3rd Order, authorized. Bone. Biomimetic Joint, 3rd Order, authorized. Neurosystem. Epinephrine Rectification, 4th Order, authorized. Frontal Cortex. Self-ICE, 4th Order, authorized. Arm Thermal Projectile Launch System, 1/2, 3rd Order, authorized. Still a series of prompts, under which Wei Feng knew that the surgery had been completed. Zhaozuiyuan.com, but he felt his gaze dim, his whole body heavy, as if a ton of metal was pressed on his body, his thinking extremely slow, and he couldn't feel the presence of his body. Reluctantly opening his mouth, he could only make a babbling sound. Lao Wei saw him awake and administered a shot of inhibitor. After a while, all the body sensations returned, and Wei Feng only felt refreshed, with his entire body floating lightly. I checked the semantic body with the system. Sure enough, not only is there no entry, but even the semantic attributes are different from those in the game, with only the basic functions that should be available. For example, the rectification of adrenaline in the nervous system can quickly, comprehensively, and maximize the effects of adrenaline. Skeletal prosthetics only enhance physical strength and can better support various prosthetics. Looking at the rank and grade behind ET, he couldn't help but organize his language and ask Lao Wei about it. "Old Wei, if it's the same model of assembly line entity, do they also have a grade classification?" The company's statement is that there is no difference, but whether there is a difference or not, ET Doctor has a clear idea in his mind. Lao Wei explained in detail, although it is an assembly line product, there are still differences in quality, but there is no clear division, and can only rely on personal experience. Lao Wei pointed to the equipment on Wei Feng's body and continued, "And the level of apogee cannot be mass-produced, only a few people are qualified to wear it. This batch of equipment on your body is considered above average. After the martial law of Night City is lifted, we will see if we can make another batch of better ones. You can come and replace them later. Upon hearing this, Wei Feng also had some thoughts in his heart. He jumped off the operating chair and felt his brand new body, feeling a bit eager to try. He handed a small power self-defense pistol to Lao Wei on the table and said, "Come, Lao Wei, shoot at me." Chapter 10. Waste Soil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, hey, arrogant kid, Old Wei took the gun. The two of them were like a western cowboy duel, walking away with their backs facing each other. At the same moment, both sides turned around, bang. A gunshot rang out. Pain and pain. Wei Feng grinned and shouted, as the bullet hit his arm, leaving a shallow dent. Lao Wei joked and said, "Young man, your affinity for righteousness is not very good either." Cough, my body is stuck. He felt a bit embarrassed and retorted, "Let's do it again, take it seriously." This time he is ready, Swanstein, start. Buzz, buzz. The sound of the ED activating came, and the line of sight was instantly covered by a light blue filter. Everything around him slowed down, and the floating dust in the air froze before his eyes. The boxing match that Old Wei had been playing repeatedly also made the commentary sound louder. He saw Old Wei pull the trigger and a bullet pierced through the flames, shooting towards him. The initial velocity of the bullet in this gun is 300 meters per second, a decrease of 85% in velocity, which is also 45 meters per second. But for Wei Feng, he dodged the bullet with a slight turn of his body. He also took the gun from Lao Wei's hand, unloaded the magazine, and threw it on the table. He manually turned off apogee and only felt a slight warmth in his body. But Lao Wei only felt his eyes flicker, and the gun in his hand disappeared. Wei Feng sat in front of him with a wicked smile. Good kid, pretty good, adapted quite quickly. He also didn't hesitate to praise. Wei Feng scratched his head and replied, "Lao Wei, you have good craftsmanship. By the way, the final payment from the previous order has been sent over. How much does it cost for these surgeries and prosthetics? I'll pay you back in one go." "Not much, it's less than 70,000 euros, but you're even more short of money now than I am. You can keep it for now." "That won't work." He directly transferred 70,000 euros to Old Wei, but Old Wei had no choice but to accept it. Walking on the street, Wei Feng was debt-free and light, thinking about what to do next. Lao Wei's advice has been echoing in his mind. The Blue Mansion, entrusted by Gezi, and the distant location of Swanstein, was shrouded in mystery and mist, casting a shadow over his heart. He vaguely felt that there was a thread that could connect the events of the past 2 days. Walking on Braun Street, his mind was a mess, and at that moment, a cruel smile shattered his thinking. Brothers, copy guys. That kid killed the stronghold of our Whirlpool gang. Looking back, a Water Valley Falcon, Wild Wolf, rushed over, and the passenger seat stretched out the car window and shouted loudly. Okay, here comes the Avenger. Coincidentally, he is feeling annoyed in his heart. The sandbag delivered to his door is not worth it. The members of the Vortex gang passed away in an instant, contributing to the next day's dead man lottery. Wei Feng held a samurai sword in his hand, which he had taken from those people. The people of the Vortex gang are really considerate. They have just given away their righteous body and are worried about not having a suitable melee weapon. They are not coming to be a money-giving boy again. The body behind the car quickly attracted NCPD, but it had nothing to do with him anymore. Stretching lazily, he answered the phone and thought it was a middleman who had entrusted him, but upon closer inspection, it turned out to be Field. Connect the phone and a holographic projection pops out. He has black hair, a high ponytail, and looks similar in age to himself. His red motorcycle jacket is wrapped in a yellow-green sweater. The nose bridge is tall and straight, and although the skin is a wheat color exposed to wind and sun, it is not difficult to see that it is still tight. Although there are slight dark circles under the eyes, the black-brown pupils are bright and lively, and there is a tear mole on the left corner of the eye. "Hello sir, I hope you can forgive my offense last night." Full lips, natural blood color, different from last night's hoarse voice, today's voice is crisp with a hint of the vicissitudes unique to wanderers. Surprisingly, the combination of two completely different styles is particularly suitable. "I sincerely invite Mr. to visit our tribe tonight." After speaking, he looked at Wei Feng with a hopeful expression on his face. Wei Feng thought for a moment and decided to go. "Anyway, there's no commission right now, so being idle is also being idle." "Okay, I haven't seen anyone from Atacado for a long time," he replied upon hearing the clear answer. Field was obviously very happy and his tone became much lighter. "Okay, sir, we will send you the detailed address of our camp." That lady. He seemed to have some unspoken meaning. "What's wrong, sir?" Cough cough, just call me Wei Feng. "Well, I don't have a car right now, so I might need you to pick me up." Puff. Field couldn't help but be amused. He didn't expect the cold little brother from last night to have such a side. He quickly said, "Wei Feng, then you can send me the address and I'll pick you up." "Okay, I'm at Tom's restaurant on the side of skyscraper number 10. Wei Feng hung up the phone, feeling his chin and considering whether he should buy a car. He didn't know when he would be able to hook up with Captain Muammar Reyes, as his car was of good quality and affordable price. Before long, an engine roared and stopped at the entrance of the restaurant. He looked up at a giant beast, which was a warhorse modified from the Thunder Mikino. The original body panels have been replaced with thick armor plates, the basic engine has been replaced by the Spitfire monster, and a gun that even tank drivers are proud of has been welded onto the roof. Looking at such an exaggerated modification, it seems that only such a monster can deter the night-wandering ghosts living in the wasteland. Field got off the car, still wearing leather pants and boots, with ink on his head, like a big sister's head. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Seeing Wei Feng walking over, he burst into the cheerful laughter unique to wanderers. "Wei Feng, I've been waiting for a long time. Get in the car. That kid, Colin, has been muttering about wanting to thank you in person." The giant beast roared, and the two of them flew eastward, leaving the level of the night city, where they saw endless yellow sand. There are no towering buildings that block the sky or ubiquitous gang fires here, and the complex network of relationships in the night city has lost its place. There are only scattered tribes here, endless biotechnology plantations day and night, and ghostly nocturnal ghosts. And, occasionally, the super sandstorm Ha-Debo that covers the sky and the sun. Field saw Wei Feng looking at the world outside the window and said, "City people rarely come to waste land. It's pitiful to be poor here, and there are also few commissions." "Yes, but only in this barren land can one feel that people are truly alive," he replied, while also raising a question, "Isn't the night city under martial law due to the fall of the Crystal Palace? Why can it still be unobstructed?" "Ha ha ha, Wei Feng, you're really..." She seemed to have heard some big joke. "Aren't you a mercenary? Don't you know that money can make ghosts grind? Being martial law above doesn't mean not eating or taking cards below. Besides, many people in Atacado specialize in this field." Wei Feng was stunned. Although he had adapted quickly enough to live a life of licking blood with his blade, he couldn't face it in his bones. This was a distorted world of capital frenzy. Capital is truly omnipotent. Yeah, why didn't I expect it? Perhaps this world can only be saved by burning it to ashes. After a moment of silence, he could only murmur to himself,